Live.
I'll tell you when you're live.
We'll do it live.
Welcome.
I'll tell you when you're live.
Let's see. Yeah, it's
I
always.
don't see it.
What did we realize? What did we learn? It was like
You
20
gotta
second
hit the
delay.
start button, the go live button at the top when it lights up.
Yeah.
Oh,
I see
nuts.
us. I see me.
On YouTube?
We're on YouTube at Clover Trading.
Mm-hmm.
I found it, guys.
We're live.
Nice. We're live.
We're doing it live.
Welcome, guys.
Doing it live.
Let the viewers roll in for a second. Let's let the world know.
Let the world be yourself.
Wayne and JJ are in here. What up,
Is
Wayne
Mervin
and
in
JJ?
here?
Travis is in here. Money,
Oh.
Andrew Jower, Knives,
Let us know you're in here.
Nemo,
Andrew
You
John.
want to write where you're tuning in from, right where you're tuning in from.
Matt's little brother.
Nice.
Right, your most favorite characteristic of Kyle. Let's get that chat flowing.
Always an easy one.
Wayne's from CT. Okay.
Oh,
Where are you from in CT, Wayne B? Couple Canadians in here, okay.
What they say
Ohio.
about Canadians.
Wayne's from Vernon.
What did I say about Canadians now?
I don't know.
Vernon's like right next to where I grew up.
You just leave it there, like, yeah, I'm always a mystery. So you know what they say.
Isn't your wife?
Is that my internet or
No.
Huddy's?
Huddies.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I didn't hear him. He is in here from Detroit. You gotta love Kia. Me and Kyle, we're both closer to Canada than we are each other.
Wait,
I guess that would
say
probably
that
be
again?
no, that was stupid. I'm closer
We
to
are-
Canada than I am Jack too.
You're
Well, you're on the Canadian border, buddy.
I know anyone who's not within 2 hours of me, I'm closer to Canada.
Someone says Kyle's one of the nicest people I know.
Thanks, Nemo.
He's really cute too.
Thanks, Dom. Oh.
You guys know it. Let's get those likes rolling in. We got 7 likes so far. Now 8. Let's get. What do we hit today in Gordon Morning Nasdaq, Dom?
We hit
He's
a
like
record.
100 and something.
100
Like,
something.
107, 108.
Oh, did I?
108 in Good Morning
Yes.
Nasdaq.
Oh, it didn't tell me. Can I move?
Unbelievable.
Where's the forget the spy, dude? Where's the Clover video likes?
It was 126.
New highs today.
126 likes?
What?
That's what we had this morning.
No
Wow.
way. How many viewers did we have this morning?
100 something.
More than 126.
Let's see
Wow.
if the Good Morning Nasdaq people can beat the Good Morning, or the Wine Wednesday people can beat the Good Morning Nasdaq people.
Oh, that's gonna be tough.
They're gonna have to do it. They're gonna have to do it ratio wise.
Right.
So either increase the viewership or increase the likes. Tell all your friends.
Can we?
Or
like
else we don't
twice?
talk.
Gosh, let me just text everyone in my family. Go like this video. Just kidding. Send to my
You
grandma.
know what I haven't had in a long time?
What have you had in a long time, Dom?
Like French toast sticks.
What? Where did that thought come from?
I watch a lot of cooking stuff on YouTube, and there's just in the corner just like a little short, and it's like how to make cinnamon French toast sticks. And I'll tell you what, my mouth's watering.
I just had a big dinner that
Your YouTube
makes me
channel
want to throw up.
feeds you food videos.
Yeah, I watch a lot of those like ASMR type of cooking videos where it's just like someone real close to the food cooking it.
Sizzle of the pan.
It's like you got 2 eggs and a pound of ground beef. Here's what you can do, and it's just like a wonderful dish. That's what I was watching back when I did carnivore, or whenever I had to do anything for my stomach and go on strict diets. I would just sit here and watch like cooking videos and just like, I can't wait to get off this. I'm about to eat all this.
I kind of already knew this, but I learned to more a serious degree, like how catered everyone's YouTube is for themselves. Like for example, like my girlfriend doesn't have a YouTube channel, or not channel, but doesn't have a YouTube account. Like, so she doesn't watch. She's never been a fan of watching YouTube. But sometimes when she is, she's like, "Can I go on your account and watch a video?" And I'm like, "No." Because if you look up anything, it immediately is going to think I'm into that stuff, and then start feeding it to me. And I'm like, I don't want to. Like, you get your own account.
It's scary how
really
good the
tailor-
algorithms are.
Yeah, they really tailor it to you. So
Yeah, if I go to like my main page at the very top, I have YouTube Premium, and the
Predator.
categories are so perfect. It's college football, bows and arrows, white-tailed deer, beef, golf
Golf.
swing, stocks, touchdowns, comedy.
where do
I don't know what
How
I-
even life.
How can I see that?
I'm in a nutshell, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I see that on mine if I want to read mine?
At the very top, there's like little tabs right underneath the search bar.
Okay, let me switch. Actually, no, let's do it on the other computer here. Let's not screw it up because we are live. I have a feeling I already know what it's gonna say.
Mine says
Puppies.
Puppies? No.
gaming, day trading, fishing rods, Luke Bryant, music,
Luke Bryan does all those
NASCAR.
things.
podcasts.
After a busy weekend, do you hit up those NASCAR highlights?
Hell yeah. You should have seen the finish with Talladega.
Was it wild?
Hell yeah.
Did you make any money on it?
No, I didn't bet. I've given up on sports gambling recently.
Ouch.
That'll
Did
change
you
in a week.
ever? Did you ever used to bet NASCAR?
Yeah, I love betting NASCAR.
Well, that sounds like that sounds like a fun day with the boys.
Another left turn. What is he gonna do next?
Hey, I like NASCAR because F1 just feels like time trials and the same guy always wins. So with NASCAR, it's always a different winner, and the endings are usually, you never know who's going to win. So, and all the odds are juiced, plus 1,500 to win, plus 800.
Oh,
plus,
it's like golf,
yeah, it's just like golf.
where like anyone can win on any given weekend, but like some guys their value is just so good.
Yep. I like finding those like plus 1,500 guys.
All right.
My YouTube
What's
says.
everyone?
Hold on one sec. I just want to. Gaming, stocks, Assassin's Creed, music.
Are you a gamer?
No, I wouldn't call myself a gamer. I mean, I'll play video games for like when I have free time.
Why Assassin's Creed?
Oh, dude, I love Assassin's Creed.
Why is gaming your top thing? Do you watch other
It's such
people?
an
game?
old game.
No, there's a new one coming out literally tonight at midnight.
Oh,
Really?
God.
Yeah, there's been like 10 of them. I probably played of all 8 of them.
So
8
you've
of the
been
10.
watching a lot of like Assassin's Creed's
I
trailers.
was watching a lot of
like, in your
trailers.
game?
Yeah, I was getting ready.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered. No big deal.
Going
wow.
at midnight to pick it up.
No, downloaded it. It's already downloaded on my PS5. We're ready to roll.
Oh wow. 2023, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that's what mine. But anyways,
what do we
what do
call
we-
it?
I feel like it's because YouTube it's all like gaming stuff. So if you play any type of video games, you're gonna have
yeah,
gonna
it just
have
says
gaming on
Like,
YouTube.
I don't really. Yeah. Besides that, there's not many other games I really am into. So I don't know why it says gaming.
there's nothing really else to watch. On
we game in the
YouTube.
RV at deer camp, so
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's FIFA and UFC.
That sounds like a good time.
That's all it is.
Well, I'm really good at FIFA.
I'm sure you are.
2014.
Wayne says he learned how to paint a garage door today from YouTube. YouTube is just like Google, but better in my opinion.
Dude, have you ever just like looked at your phone and been like, I don't know how people lived like 30 years ago. Like you need any information. It's just how do I do this? Like, and you get like someone with 12 views has a YouTube video on it. How do I get my Roku remote to do this if it's blinking like this? I'll go Google it. Someone will have a video on it. How to.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
That's
impressive.
awesome.
Pretty crazy world we're in.
So
We
what's everyone
skipped.
drinking tonight?
Yeah, I just want to say we skipped our usual intro. What are we drinking?
I have the same as every time.
Do you
A
just,
simple man.
do you just have 12 bottles?
No, this is
Same
my
one.
go-to at the grocery store. $17.99, no tax in New Hampshire. You know how we do. 2019.
Someone said it was like the library and encyclopedias. Do you guys remember the first like Google was called Ask Jeeves or something back in school?
No.
We're not that old, Dom. You're the oldest here.
Huddy
remember
has to
Jeeves.
remember. Ask Jeeves. It was like Google, but like Google now is everything you would search. But that time you actually would ask it a question. Be like, how do I make pumpkin pie?
It's like
And there'd be a
prehistoric
recipe.
Chat GPT.
Yeah, I remember it.
That is
I'm
so
drinking La Belle France. It's a Grenache.
Huh.
It's a
Nice.
I have a winery next to me that's named LaBelle, actually.
Really?
Nice.
It
Yep.
says La Belle France. Let me see where it was actually.
They have a golf course, mini golf, and winery. It's really nice little area.
Did you say mini
Product of France, but
mini golf
bottled
and
in
wine?
Napa.
Oh my gosh, sounds amazing.
Mini golf, wine, and then Dom, they have a 9-hole par 3 course.
there we go.
Kept in
That's
really
where, that's
good
where you
shape.
should be.
I do go there and I get pissed.
Huddy,
I went to the local winery here in New York, and I got DVF, Paso
The
Robles
local winery or the local liquor store?
local liquor store.
Okay.
And
I'm like New
It's-
York.
it's from Paso Robles, and it's pretty bomb. It's a Cabernet. Pretty bomb.
I feel like I can't drink Cabernet without like meat. Like I only want Cabernet when I'm eating like a nice steak or something.
Sure you can.
Well,
just
we
gotta
could
do
do
it.
anything we put our minds to.
Yeah.
I was planning on drinking wine, but I always usually work out before Wine Wednesday. So like right when the market closes, I'll go to the gym. Went to the gym today. Felt like absolute crap. Like I thought I was gonna puke like multiple different times. I actually didn't even finish the workout because I don't know if I slept. I don't know if I was sleeping. I don't know if I'd just been eating well. I don't know what it was, but I just had zero energy. And so when I got home, I was like, if I drink wine, I'm gonna puke. So we just have our little protein shake here. No wine for me, unfortunately.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Chocolate for sure.
Chocolate, okay.
got
Rich, milk,
We got
dark.
almond milk, chocolate. It's like pea protein, chocolate pea protein.
Ain't no animal products up in here.
Blueberries, spinach, spirulina, charcoal, activated charcoal, whatever it's
Charcoal?
called. Yeah, it's like a little black powder. It's good for your digestion system. And cacao powder. So there you
Cacao
go.
powder.
Yeah, a little bit grainy, but it's got a lot of good stuff in there. So
Oh. That's what the vegetarians drink.
cacao is literally cocoa. Like it's chocolate. It's just the most basic form before they sweeten it up and put milk in it and call it Hershey's.
I love cacao.
Cacao. So how is the chat doing, guys? How are we doing this week in the markets? I personally,
I can't believe it's already Wednesday.
it's already Wednesday, first week of October. I'm feeling pretty good about October. It's October, even though the markets have been nothing but selling off. But
October.
my
I
trading is
love that.
October.
Up 35,000 already, Kyle, or did you trade on Monday?
Did not trade on Monday, but yeah, I think I'm up after borrow fees, 33,000. Yeah, so a really good start. 35,000 on the week, but yeah, about 2K, a little under 2K in fees. Most of which was FEMY. That was a little bit pricey. But yeah, really good start. So,
On
Bubby's
track
in the
for a
chat
nice
for Kyle.
200K a month.
I mean, that's a large extrapolation, but I'll take it if it happens.
You know what? Yeah, did you guys
Large
remember doing that?
projection.
The first time you started to make money trading, and you just started multiplying it by however many weeks were left, months were left. You're like, oh my god, I made 20K this month. I'm guaranteed to make 240K this year.
Yeah.
And it's just like the math. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be rich.
It only worked like that.
And then you have like one red day, like, oh my god, I'm not making 10 grand this week because I made 2K on Monday. I didn't trade on Tuesday. The
How
math
many
isn't
trading
gonna-
days are in the year anyway?
I think
What
it's
is it, like
252.
Yeah, 250 or something. Well, actually,
Okay.
I think there's. Let's look it up, because I know I think it's either 250 business days or weekdays, but obviously we have 4 or 5.
Probably like 6 or 7 holidays.
Ha!
252. Dom was right.
All right,
Nice.
Jeb, calm down.
There you go.
Hey, I like to be the best at something in this group. At least it was guessing that.
You're the best at deer hunting
Big trivia
Yeah,
guy.
I was gonna say the same
after
thing.
5 years.
Only 3 of really doing it.
3 of really doing it. Every year is how many yards you get with your crossbow.
I don't have a crossbow. I have a compound bow.
You shot it with a compound bow, or I thought you had a crossbow.
I did the first year because I didn't know what I was doing. Then I learned that everyone makes fun of people with crossbows.
Yeah, I would make fun of. I think I did make fun of you when you had your crossbow. I was like, dude.
Those are the good days. I'm gonna let Matthew use it.
I have a question. Is the market closed on Columbus Day on Monday or no?
No.
I don't think
Whoa.
so. It's probably like not even called that anymore. I don't think.
Yeah, there's no holidays off in October.
Okay.
The next
Kyle knows
one,
that.
the next one is the day before Thanksgiving, on the 23rd.
Christmas Eve.
Or sorry, not the
Wonderful.
day
No,
before.
what
Thanksgiving
about
itself is
veterans?
off.
That's a horrible
What about-
week, isn't it? It's
What
like
about veterans?
then Friday's like a half day, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
It's a stupid week.
Yeah.
There won't be Good Morning Nasdaq that Friday. I already
Veterans
know.
Day. We
Someone's
have
getting
off.
drunk at Thanksgiving dinner.
I'll be with Jack hopefully in the RV.
Nice. That'll be fun.
I'm just wondering who's going to take over Good Morning Nasdaq November 1st through the 7th.
Where are you going?
Real deer camp
Ooh.
in the woods.
Are you tenting or are you staying in your RV?
RV, but I'll be in
Okay.
the woods when Good Morning Nasdaq starts.
Bro, just get Starlink.
I'm not going to talk.
How funny that'd
Can't
be,
talk.
Dom. You're like in the woods hiding. You're like, good morning, NASDAQ here.
Dude, I was
Not a
talking to my
deer
brother
yet.
today because he was like, I want to trade. And I'm like, well, technically we get better service out in the stands. So I might just bring my laptop out if there is stuff. Because October's starting to heat up a little bit. So if it's a can't miss type of week, I might have to pop around.
Just climb
I
a
was
tree.
pretty impressed with Monday. I mean, Monday out again the stocks a little bit. I mean, I saw ICU was a good breakout and it gapped up 50%. I look to my right, I'm seeing FEMY have a nice run and first red day. I'm seeing what else was running. We're seeing
NVOS.
NVOS. We're seeing a bunch of gappers. We're seeing stuff gap up hundreds of percent every day consistently.
Is NVOS higher in after hours? Is that still going?
It tiptoed the highs and then came back down.
Are you long that, Dom?
No, I decided this time I was going to be in and out. Bought 32 yesterday, sold 37s because I was like, ain't no way this thing is a multi-day hold. And I think today there was probably a good reason to be buying when 35 to 37 held. And this stock likes to do its little sideways at the lows and then come off of it. Then I held higher lows all day. So I was making my watch list before we got on here. My gut feeling, I feel like this is going to break out tomorrow and not do it in a good way. And actually just squeeze, and then be done. I think it would be too perfect for it to hold up, consolidate like 48, and then break out.
Yeah, you got to think that shorts are kind of on the edge of their seat, waiting to cover on the 50 break.
Yeah,
That's kind of the worst breakout too, because like if it went straight to 55, like I unfortunately don't see it going much higher than like 60 and then pulling back. Like it's going to be one of those where like you should be selling into the breakout.
yeah.
I just don't see this. I mean, there's a possibility, but I just don't see a strong move to like 75, 80. I mean, maybe over multiple days, like maybe on the first run, right, where we had like really choppy couple red days, then green day, then choppy green day, then green day. Like I can see that, but
I don't know, guys. There could be a force that's very heavily short that's not out yet. I mean, if you like, obviously we had that short report on Friday, traded a bunch of volume, close to 200 million shares, and like the squeeze started into close yesterday. And you got to imagine, like, between the end of the day yesterday and today, how many shares could they have realistically got out if they were a big portion of that volume from Friday?
No, I think that was probably retail.
Could have been a lot of things.
I
I got a
have
lot of
If
public eye.
if there's like real money that's short and they're kind of holding, I don't know.
I don't know. I think my own perspective is tilting or biasing my opinion here, but I just can't wrap my head around any large firm wanting to short a 30-cent stock. I just can't, like, I understand percentage wise, okay, if they really just eat like crap themselves and everything, all the PR is fake and it's a total scam, whatever, how worse you can get, like 10 cents back where they came from. I mean, where the run start, like 5 cents, sub 10. I just don't. So percentage wise, I get it, but I just don't. I just would imagine as a fund with multi-millions, if not more dollars, like I'm just not excited. I don't think it moves the needle in my account when I'm shorting a 30-cent stock.
Well, how much would they have to short?
I mean, well, with 250 with the 250 rule, I mean, gosh, if you're shorting even say 10 million shares, you need 25 million bucks. And so how big of a fund are we talking that really cares about little
Yeah,
old
but I mean, I'm sure a fund
NVOS?
that big can circumvent the 250 rule.
No, that's what I'm saying. But it's like when you're a fund that big, why do you then even care about little NVOS? Like I don't know.
You'd be surprised though. Like I know of hedge funds and stuff. I mean, I know somebody that shorted just like 1,000 shares of HKD at like 2,500 and
Well, yeah.
shorted some CYDY. I mean, 100,000 shares. If
Well,
they think it's free money, you know.
Well, that's what that's. I mean, I get that. I get the ones with huge range and almost a way easier 90% downside, right? Because it's into this insane run. But NVOS is not this insane, massive bubble run. I mean, maybe it's a bubble-esque that it's extended, but we're at 40 cents. I don't know. I just don't.
I mean, look. Let's be honest. Kyle's probably right, no matter what we think.
I just don't see it. I don't see because I know who you're talking about, Jack, and I just don't see. I mean, I don't know him personally. I just don't see him being like, yeah, NVOS, yeah, we're gonna throw $100 million at it. Like, let's short this thing.
So what Kyle's saying is that this is just indicative of the value of NVOS. That's why it's going up.
I think there's just such a huge crowd behind it that you can get a lot of people in around this thing.
So who's willing to buy the breakout tomorrow? I think that's a great question.
I am.
Dom's willing. How about the chat?
I made the decision that if it's doing the same type of ABCD in the morning and it feels strong still, that I would be okay risking a prior higher low and giving it a shot because, like Kyle said, I think 55 or 60 happens fast if there is covers coming in at those levels.
Yeah, that's the only way. I probably won't play it, but that's the only way in my brain that I could justify playing it, which is I would be buying the breakout and immediately flipping it. Like 10%, 15% into that morning move, I'm out. I really would not want to overstay. But that's just my
54 is like the level. Like I'd probably sell 54 if I had it anywhere from 45 to 48. Like this is basically the same move it did when it broke out over 35 and it took 3 days to go to 54. That's what this would be doing, but pretty much from lower.
Right.
Or I guess the same level. Yeah, it would have to do like 200 mil, 300 mil, I feel like, to actually push and hold. I think it's going to be done tomorrow, or we'll be watching it into Monday for a breakout. One or the other.
Sweet.
What do we think about ICU coming all the way back to the mid 60s in after hours?
That one's a little saucy too.
This is going to break out, I think.
I would love for it to break out.
Look at their volume today too, on supposedly a giant red day.
What it reminds me of is the TUP move where we had the initial run on top. And then
the red day had no volume.
Look at that thing.
The red day had no volume, and then it squeezed into the close on TUP. And then the next day it held up and it started to break out. And I'm pretty sure Dom traded that, but it was 7-28 is the day that I'm talking about. It didn't come as far back, but as you can see, the next day it actually gapped up, and it did come all the way back from 260. And it opened at 330. So that's quite the percentage move off the lows. And with that low volume, it's very similar to what TUP had. So if we're trading around 65-ish tomorrow on the open and it holds the first 15 to 30 minutes, it very well could have a push up into the 70s and 80s really quickly because the stock likes to spike 10 cents really fast.
Yeah, I think 70 cents is the number. I can see people getting a little too patient on the short here, just because I've heard Kyle talk about how crappy this company is, and
got $13 in the bank.
I almost made just as much money today on that stock shorting it as they have in their bank account. How fun!
Keep saying that, Kyle. Fuel the short squeeze.
Fuel the The only thing I love the daily for sure in terms of potentially coming back and going higher. The only counter or counter argument to that is that I think Huddy was saying it at some point. I don't know where you said it, Huddy, or how long ago, but a slight trend or small trend we've been seeing on some red days this year is they will have their morning washout and then have that bounce. And once that bounce starts, I mean, it doesn't go anywhere all day long. It's like just like this very up trendy grind of a bounce all day. And it pretty much goes perfectly from bottom left to top right into the close at like previous red green. And that's like the midday bounce. But instead of midday, it's like the top is the close. And then the next day, it actually ends up selling back off. That's my only worry in terms of it actually does that. Say it gaps down back to the 60s and then, or sub 60 and then back to the 50s, like that won't be look great. But if it can hold up better than that, then yeah, I totally see where you guys are coming from. So
It'll have to be the gap will decide. If it's opening up at 65, I'm bullish. If it's opening up sub 60, I'm bearish. It's kind of what I'm thinking.
it's a good one.
The bullish bear.
Yep. And one thing to note, I think too, just like doing a review here recently with a lot of the trades this year, it's honestly the longs really have not been that good. Like there's a couple good long setups per month, if that actually like really work. But the amount of long setups that fail is so numerous. So it's something that I'm keeping in the back of my mind. And I just, this is the type of year where if you're a long trader, your win percent's like 40. And if you're a short seller, you can get 65, 70% win rates throughout the entire year. If you're trading B tier setups, if you're trading B tier long setups, you'll be at 40% win rate. Maybe if you're trading A plus setups, you'll be at, 50. So something to keep in mind, especially with the market trending down the last, 3 months. I think that the breakouts have been fewer and far between, but when they do work, in hindsight, it's like, oh, all I had to do is buy the breakout and it went up, 50 to 100%. But what are all those ones that tried to break out and then stuffed?
I concur. I agree. I think my long run rate is actually in the 40s this year, which is lower than average. So
Mine always is.
That's all right though. That's not just like a bad thing. You just need your risk reward to be obviously better or higher, I should say.
Yeah, I feel like this year you had to do significantly better on like the stretch that we had of like TUP, NKLA, TTOO. What were some from earlier this year? I already can't even remember. Like
Fifi.
Fifi was later, and that was like April, wasn't it? March or April?
I feel like Femi wasn't really like structured that.
LHDX was a good
Dom
one.
really talks about.
I hated when Jack was all like, "Dude, what a perfect multi-month breakout," and I'm like, "Dude,
which one?"
Fifi.
Oh no, that was great.
No, it wasn't like
the beautiful thing about the Clovers is we're all gonna like disagree amongst like the same setup from setup to setup. Sometimes we're all for it, sometimes one of us doesn't like it, and one of us does, and it's what makes a good pod, right? Like we have good conversation back and forth about like the pros and the cons to each one. Happens with me and Dom all the time. Yeah, I loved Femi, FEMY, and Dom hated it.
I'd see that's when I've seen that fail so many times, that setup.
What about CYBN? None of us really traded that one, and I feel like that one's still kind of
it's low volume, too low volume for me.
Yeah. It's something to keep an eye on though, because it's trading more consistent volume.
He's gonna rope me in like he did with eBet.
No, I'm done swinging, man. Especially after LIFW as well.
Dude, every single stock's reverse splitting. Like,
because every single stock's just getting crushed. Like I think we've seen over the last 2 years the complete opposite of what we saw in 2021, which is every stock was above $1, and now we're seeing more stocks than ever. Pretty much. I mean,
we how many stocks have we seen go from 10 cents to $1 this year? You have, I mean, TTO didn't even make it. You literally have the TRKA.
TRKA was close.
And you have LHDX, and there's one more, COSM.
Dude, eBet did a reverse split and they're still at 60 cents. Like,
Yeah, they
the
just
they're
saddest
not
thing
even
ever.
they're not even compliant right now.
they beat the 10-cent bid requirement, but they still got the $1 ahead of them.
I just learned about the 10-cent bid requirement.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't know
was-
that was a
Are they
thing.
just
I
throw
learned
it's
that
like a
maybe
stimulus
month or
for
two
them?
ago. It's new or new to me. What? Dumb?
It's like a stimulus for them. Hey, you can't reach $1, but we'll throw you a bone for 10 cents.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, exactly. You're still
Yeah, I was-
massively not compliant, but at least you're somewhat.
it's like at 11 cents, you're all right. 9 cents, like you're going to OTC, boys. You're done.
Yeah, what wrote me into eBet, I guess, would be that one, it was trading, billions of shares every single week, and just with that volume, it's very impressive and it's hard to fail. As well as it proved to have a 3-day run and kind of set up like this cup and handle type pattern, like we saw on numerous runners, NVOS and TTOO, CVNA throughout the year, and knowing that they had till mid to late October to hit that 10-cent threshold to regain compliance, and knowing that it already had hit 8.5 cents and it just needed to pull back and then set back up for one more squeeze over the breakout and get into that 10-cent area. That's why I was bullish for a swing trade on eBet, but they just took the easy way out, I guess, and they just said, I don't really care. Let's just reverse split it. And, these companies just crushing their stocks over and over. I mean, it's kind of crazy, like how different it is from 2020 and 2021. So that's what I was saying earlier. It's just the odds on the long side just are far less than the short side, and that's what you see with short selling, and through consistent bear markets, neutral markets, and even bull markets. If you're picking the right criteria and you're covering and taking quick profits because you know that the bid's going to be stronger, you really can achieve that 60 to 75% win rate and get seemingly good 1 to 2, 1 to 3 risk to reward on a lot of plays. And it's just, it's a great strategy, except that there is a lot of fees. There is this high interest, and if you're wrong on short selling, the potential to lose and get caught in a big massive squeeze is very dangerous. Like we saw in RNAS, I think that was probably the worst short squeeze we've seen in the past couple of months. I think it went from like 30 cents to like $3 in a couple hours. If you're shorting it in pre-market, if you're shorting it at market open, it's gapping up 60% on an unhaul, and you're just getting smoked.
Yeah,
then they end up doing an offering at 50 cents later that day, and trading right back down from where it started. So
have we ever had a Wine Wednesday where we're just going back and forth on all these stocks, like where we're just talking stocks for like an hour? I feel like we've never like been this technical about specific charts. It's kind of nice.
I like it.
Like we're all doing a webinar. Like we've never done a webinar all together. That would be crazy.
I think the ultimate trade-off here between longs and shorts is like what you sacrifice in win rate for longs, meaning your win rate's going to be less, you make up for in risk reward. So like what Jack was saying with longs, like you can get 1 to 2, 1 to 3 quite consistently, and that's great with shorts. But on the long side, like you can expect 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 50, even if you do your correct job of position sizing and adding to a winner. So that's what's like really intriguing about the longs. Like you're going to have a worse win rate, but if you catch the trend and you can, size incorrectly, they can be huge account builders. That's always been my experience. Like it's like a pit full of disastrous situations, and all of a sudden you're in a really good situation and you have some size, and it makes up for all of them and some.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if we don't have to look at our stats, but I know for me, my rush to reward is only like 2.5 to 1, which is not great, right? I mean, it's good, but it's not the 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1. But I bet if we look at Dom's rush to reward, him being more a long bias trader, his is probably going to be 4-1, 5-1, 6-1. I just would not surprise me.
As long as you take out all the giant losses on the short side.
That's what I mean. Like, if you look at just my shorting and looking at just your longing, like, it's,
Yeah.
it's going to play out that way.
My private factor has been dropping very, very fast the last couple
But
of
you've been
years.
gapping, crapping, and stuff a lot more like in and out. You've even said you're trading your P&L like 1,000 here, 1,000 here. Like, I feel like you've became way more of a reactive, like, not necessarily a scalper, but like in and out in like 10 minutes and then call it a day.
Yeah, it's just like if I can make 5 to 10K with no stress, just I'll lock it in instead of trying to really go for the big win. And I still pick my spots to when I want to be patient or when I want to, have more than just a small win. But that's usually honestly when I end up taking, big losses because I'm not used to that type of trading, and I end up just. It's been a choppy year, honestly, for me. The first 6 weeks were great, and I made 75% of my money, and now it's just, it's very choppy for me.
That's how a lot of people's years usually go. First quarter of the year is usually the best, and the rest is I don't know, a little bit up in the air in terms of where and how you trade and where you pick your spots.
I feel like once you finish up like March and April, then you figure out what that year's issue for you is going to be. Like, what's my problem this year? Is it risk management? Is it a certain pattern? Is it adapting? It's like that's when the summer starts, right before summer, you're like, okay, so that's what this year's issue is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just constant ebbs and flows, right? Like you could have the complete right idea of what sector is hot, where the interest is 1 month, and then especially like I think the biggest problem with 2023 is you get this like band of runners, which feels great. It like hypes up all the endorphins. We all do well, and then for the next 2 weeks, we're literally trying to do our best to be in position for the next big trade. And the reality is, it's like little peak moments of what 2020 and 2021 felt like, and then it completely dies off, and you have to go through this like 2 week period of pretty much sitting on hands and taking the easy money when it's there, and that's a lot harder said than done, and making sure not to like exhaust mental capital or like if like Cal and I we stared at CVNA for like a month straight while nothing was going on. Like there was nothing going on, and so Carvana had every bit of our interest for a month, and like that's not even a setup that we normally trade, right? So I mean,
fun.
in a lot of circumstances,
that was a good time.
So it's really hard to know. Like there are moments where the market absolutely deserves aggression and pushing, and then like directly right after that, it deserves the complete 180 opposite, and it's hard to adapt. And then in 2 weeks, it's going to be a different theme of spikers. It's not going to be like the tickers that well and that you can come right back to because all your lines are already drawn and you can just start hitting those levels again. It's a different theme. It's a different ticker. It's a different space. It's a different reason, right? We have naked shortwear stuff. We have right now it's biotech. We have weed, which was 2 weeks ago, and before that was like VFS and ICCT. Like where'd they come from? Who knows? Vietnamese electric car maker, right? That came out of nowhere.
That was great. I didn't make enough money, but it was really sick.
And that's like the gift, right? Like that's the blessing. Like it can be for those that again just like stick to the patterns and don't mentally exhaust themselves. Like you don't trade for 5 days and all of a sudden VFS is at 80 with a red doji candle and you're like, all right, I could take a 5-10K loss here because I haven't traded. But if you trade and you're losing 20-30K in the meantime, and then the 10K risk comes around, you're not taking it. I mean, like, that's at least my experience. So, but that's the market that we're living in. And it's not easy, but it's important to be aware of it.
Yeah, I think I've been like doing some thinking about like who I am as a trader and stuff over the past few months, just because of how like inconsistent I've been. And what I really realized is what I'm really, really good at is when there's consistent opportunity, because I like to just go and just roll it until it stops working. And the problem with this year is that the consist, like Huddy was saying, there's no consistent opportunity. You have a small pocket, and then if you continue to do whatever that opportunity is, then you're going to end up just chopping yourself up and taking a big loss. And that's why I did so good in August on TTOO, because it provided 2, 3, 4 weeks of opportunity for me. Multiple breakouts, multiple first red days, multiple first green days, multiple bounce shorts, multiple gap up situations. And I'm consistently just rolling that opportunity over and over and over again until it eventually, dies out. But with a lot of the other months, like Huddy was saying, we have VFS, then we have weed, and weed is really what screwed me up in September, because I thought there was going to be way more of a theme than just 1 week of action, week and a half of action. So when that theme died, I was planning for four weeks of that type of action, and I thought September was going to be great. It gave me flashbacks to 2018. I was like, this is going to be great. There's going to be 2-3 months of weed action, going to make a ton of money. Literally 1 week and it's done. And now we're on to biotechs, and biotechs isn't my strong suit. Weed's definitely my strong suit because I've been trading it for 5, 6, 7 years. So that's how I've been feeling about this year. And then even thinking back to like last year, like what did we really have last year? It was just really Chinese pumps, and it was either you're going to have a huge win or you're going to have a huge loss. And there's no real consistent opportunity for me. And it's tough. That's why I've just been like, hey, if I can make a few thousand in the morning and call it a day, like that's what I'm going to do until something changes.
But would you say there's more consistency this year than last year? Maybe not great consistency, but the only reason I ask is I think for me, 2023 was the closest thing to a very, I don't want to say average, but just normalcy year. Like I felt like that in 2018. I felt like that in 2017. I felt like that in a little bit of 2019. But then right when 2020 COVID hit, we were met with a huge bubble, a huge kind of, not depression, but just a huge momentum crusher of 2022. And now we're kind of working our way out of that this year. And so I feel more like this year was some year where I didn't have to freak out about, oh my gosh, are we in a euphoric market? Are we in this is a crappy market? Like I felt this year I didn't have to actually think about the overall theme of what's going on, and I can just trade small caps and not have to worry. Because this will, I mean, I'm on track to have my best year in terms of not money, but just in terms of how much money I've made without any huge, call it help, with a bubble market, right? With getting 10 opportunities a day like we did in 2021. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Jeb, how do you guys want to go? Or you want me to go?
You go.
I think there's been like infrequent but frequent opportunity. That's the best way I could explain it. Like it's like at least 4 to 6 times a month there are good plays to take advantage of to like move the needle in your account, and then the rest of 24 days you have to know your pattern and like stay away from that stuff and be disciplined to like do exactly what Kyle does, which is that's why Kyle, I think, is so consistent, because he knows his pattern and he waits for it. And if it's not his pattern, it's not about just making money every day. And so it's like, yeah, there's definitely more opportunity. Like Jack was saying, like in 2022, it was all Chinese pumps. And like, if that wasn't there, then if you were long a breakout overnight, you got offered on. Like it was terrible. And nothing really ran. Like it was such a bearish market that you didn't have like multi-day runners either. So it was like, aside from the oil and gas splurge, like there was nothing. Whereas at least this year, like we did have that AI sector for a bit, right? Like, and the AI sector was very similar to the pot sector in the sense where it's like, okay, it came out in January, February-ish, or March or somewhere in there. I remember doing well on it. And then it died off, and it was like, you couldn't come back to those tickers. And then it re-sparked in June for another like week or two, and then it died off again. And now it's like dead. And that's not usually like the flow of it. The flow is usually like continuously for 3 months, back to back to back. Liquidity stays, demand stays, interest stays, levels hold, constructs hold, and you have further moves. And it's really an easier space to time situations. And it's just different this year. But still, like, glad we saw a number of different sectors. And even though the moments were brief, like good volatility in those moments, I would say.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times I agree with Huddy eye to eye, a lot of the times on just like overall perspective on a lot of things. And I think that really sums it up good in terms of just frequent but infrequent. That's why I struggle, because I'm not as disciplined as Kyle, and I like to go. I like to be swinging stock every night, and then I like to sell the next morning. Then I like to go short, and I like to always be trading something every single day, every single, in the morning, in a swing. And I like to just continue to find the opportunities of the day. And the problem is there's opportunities for 3 days and you make a lot of money. So you're like, okay, let's size up, because that's what I'm used to. That's how I got to where I was. You make some money, you size up, you keep doing it over and over and over again. But in this market, it's 3 days of opportunity, 6 days of nothing, 2 days of opportunity, 4 days of nothing, 7 days of opportunity, 2 weeks of nothing. So it's just
is there 3.5 days of nothing sometimes? Is that
4 too
Yeah.
as well.
Yep. You guys get the point. So yeah, that's personally why I've struggled. And I anticipate it being very similar to what it is this year, next year, in my opinion, as long as we don't see any type of crazy recession and market dump to new lows. I expect, grinds up, grinds down, consistent opportunities throughout the year. And it's something that I'm going to keep in mind, that you just want to look at everything as black and white as you can. It's this pattern today because this pattern we've seen work. It's a perfect red day. It's a perfect green day. It's a perfect parabolic short, panic dip buy, whatever it is. And just stay disciplined when there's nothing.
And for me, like, that's the most ideal scenario, is that next year looks exactly like this year, because at least this year, like, that whole adapt or perish, like, spent the whole year adapting to finding strategies that I like for the mornings, for the afternoons, about my cadence of how often I need to be on or off, or, a lot of the times Monday morning, I'm just sitting there letting, again, like, the chessboard being put out and show me what has interest for the week, what was impressive on Monday, and then coming kind of back to it Tuesday, Wednesday. Most of it dies out. But then there's this 1 week where all of a sudden, like, that thing that should have died out doesn't die out, and it sets a trend for the week. And so I really trained myself this year to create the discipline to expect that, like, okay, we just had euphoric price action, so let's dial it back. Sure, there's still going to be some first green days, some first red days in between, some bound shorts, whatever there are, and be disciplined about when you take those positions. But just having the right perspective of, like, the cadence of how the market is working right now, I think is really, if it continues like this, like, I feel like I'm better prepared next year to put gas on, take gas off. Like, I've already got myself in the rhythm. Whereas if it completely, like, shifted again and we have a euphoric market or, like, a dead market and there's nothing, like, it's either too much pressure or too much all at once, and, like, I'll have to readapt. And that's what I don't want. I want it to sustain. So I really hope what Jack said is correct, because it's, again, like, it's just about getting into the rhythm of the market, the ebbs and flows. And once you're there, that's when you can start pushing. And right now I feel that way because of, it's just been so cyclical for so long.
And I think that that's what's been tough. I mean, 2016, 2017, and 2018, I would say were very similar years. And then, 2019 a little bit, but I feel like it wasn't there's a lot less opportunities than the, 2016 and 2018. So there's just more sectors those years, whether it was shipping, the shipping sectors happened every year, weed sectors happened every year. But with 2019, there was really no sectors. Energy sectors happened every year in those 2016, 2017, 2018. And those really built, like, the traders that you guys know of before us. Like, we kind of came in that, 2019, 2020, 2021. And we've just seen, like, a different market every year. Like, 2020 was super consistent all year. And then 2021, I would argue that there was better opportunities, but not as consistent as there was in 2020. Or maybe I just had less bankroll in 2020 than 2021. So that's why, like, the differences looked so insane to me. But
the first quarter of 2021 was insane.
Yeah, that was the best market we've ever seen.
Yeah, but even, like, I know you were saying about 2020 being, like, crazy consistent. Like there was like a 6-month spree where it was like every other day there was something, and then 2021
I
hit and
lost
it's the
money like
magnitude.
I lost money like 10 to 15 days throughout the entire year, and I traded every single day in 2020.
The calendars were wiped green. Like, it
Yeah.
was awesome.
Wave green. And that's not how it looked in 21, and that's surely not how it looked in 22 and 23 this
And
year.
then
So
half of them were red, and you're like, wait, what? Or even 75% of them sometimes in the worst months,
yeah,
maybe.
I think probably the worst. Probably the worst I've ever done is like 30 or 40% green days.
Yeah.
Shall we do some questions here before we close her out?
I just want to say one thing, and then just hearing Jack rattle off about like the history of time, like you have to all remember that we've been training for 8 years. Like I know sometimes we sound really silly on this like Wine Wednesday and stuff, but like we've lived through a lot of stuff and we've learned a lot of stuff, and every day you learn something else, and you never know when that's going to affect your trading in the future. So it's just like I think everyone needs to always remember to have perspective. And without further ado, let's get into the questions.
Right on. The first one here we have, I think earlier in the stream, Mikey asked, any advice on keeping losses small compared to wins? My wins and losses have been close to the same size.
Any advice on keeping losses small?
Yeah. Well, either I would imagine, I mean, to help Mikey probably get a better answer would be keeping losses small, but also maybe increasing your wins. Like clearly his losses and his wins are around the same magnitude, and you've got to do both, which is reduce the losses, or not reduce, but make them smaller or
Yeah, you
gains
have a
bigger.
you have a math problem. Your wins are too small or your losses are too big. And you have to figure out which way to go with that. That was my exact problem in 2016 or 17. And it wasn't because I wasn't cutting losses or not using the right risk level. It was just because I wasn't winning enough when I was right. And for me, it had a lot to do with trading too many setups. So this is a hard question to answer just based off of that. But usually for beginners, it means they're not holding on to winners long enough and or holding losers too long. You need to get to the point where you're cutting losses every time you're wrong immediately. Take the 1 hour loss every single time. And then focus on strategies that allow you to make a lot more when you're right than when you lose, even if you screw up the setup. Like, if you watch Kyle trade a first red day, sometimes he's covering into the bounce backs or way later in the day, and he's still making 5, 6, 7 to 1. Like, find situations where, like yesterday in Envos, I'm not there at all today for the trade, but I'm still making 5 or 6 to 1 on that trade. Like, find setups where it's easy for you to make good risk reward, even if you don't absolutely nail it, and then cut out all the other stuff that is very 1-to-1 or the win percentage is really bad. For me, that's what it was just strategy, and then focusing on making my winners bigger, and studying the patterns to the point where I understood what to expect from them. So that way, even if I thought I could get 10 to 1, I still make 4 to 1 if I screw it up, and that's going to overcome 4 losers. So
The only thing I'd add to that is not necessarily like Dom approached in a strategy sense. If I were to approach it or add on top of that with a stat perspective, I remember when I first one of the things I did earlier on is I actually started looking at public millionaire traders, so traders who were pretty much public with their stats, and found that most profitable traders, at least in the small cap space, this is strictly for small caps, because who knows what the strategies are, and stats are different for any other strategy that's out there. But when they lose, it's in the 2 to 5, maybe 6% range, like on average. Their average loss is a 2 to 5% of the stock's price, right? And if they're winning, their average win is usually in the like 7 to 12 range. So you can, and again, it doesn't tell you much in terms of strategy, because again, Mikey, your strategy is going to be, personalized to you. But in the sense of like when you're making trade plans and looking for that kind of risk score that Dom's talking about, it's like, think about it, again, we don't know whether it's you need to reduce your dollar size on your losses or increase the dollar size of your gains. But the point is, it's like in general, just looking at a statistical like basis on a risk reward, like you really shouldn't be losing more than, call it 3 to 5% as a beginner. And when you're right, you should be making more than that. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% on a win. You know, and that's just averages. You're going to get better wins over time, or unfortunately maybe some bigger losses over time. But right, you got to figure out, like Dom said, which one's bigger for you, and go from there. So, or which one needs to be increased, or which one needs to be decreased. If that makes sense. Shall we move on? Any other inputs for that one?
Let's move on.
All right. Let's see.
We lost you, Huddy, by the way.
My camera's off for a sec.
Let's see. Non-trading related question. How do I get into wine? Any recommendations? I feel like Huddy has an answer for this one.
Say it again?
Any wine recommendations if someone wants to get into wine?
Go to Bordeaux. That's what I would say. Go to Bordeaux.
So it's an acquired taste, just his little cultured ass.
I think in order to I think in order to learn about wine, like you need the experience, right? Like I don't really have like some kind of like crazy fixation on wine, but it's kind of fun to go to take a girl or a guy, depending on, I don't know who's asking this question, and go to Bordeaux and, you know, do some vineyards, do some touring, learn about, you know, what grapes taste like and what
Talking
blends
about France?
Huh?
France?
Yeah, at some point in your life, you should go to France.
Just hop on over to
it.
France for the day or so.
Look,
just
if you
book
want to
that
be
private
inspired,
jet.
if you want to be, okay, you're taking it too far. If you want to be inspired, make a dream board. If you're not at this level in your life right now, make a dream board and say, why do I want to be successful at trading stocks? And put on it like a trip to Bordeaux with what your significant other, and go there and do a little, you know, 3-day vacation of wine tours and whatever, and learn about wine, and then see where it goes. I think that's the best way to get into it and learn about it, because everyone's taste and everyone's palate, everyone's fixations are going to be different. You know, my red might be your blue, so you got to go try it for yourself.
So they should put off their journey towards winery enthusiast until they can make enough money to go to Bordeaux and do a tour.
On a smaller scale, just your local winery. That's a good start.
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe sample a few different ones. They do flights.
I think that's the weak way to go about it. Just make enough money to live your best life.
Damn. There we go. This is a bit of a broad one, but how do you decide whether you will stay overnight in a ticker? A little bit broad of a question there, Fran, because it really, I mean, it could really depend. Is it long or is it short? What kind of news is it? What kind of setup is it?
I want to hear Kellogg's answer first, because I'd like to go against that. Not like against, because when I go into something overnight, it's because I have a cushion. I feel comfortable that no matter where it gaps at 4 a.m., that I'm not going to have to wake up and check it. Like it comes from a place of comfort, and that we're only in the situation now to make the trade even better. We're not trying to just make the trade anymore. Where I've seen, especially this year and last year, Kellogg do a lot of like buying for his initial position after hours or into the close, and going into like kind of like his position yesterday with ICU, and just waking up and dealing with wherever it opens. That stresses me out. So I want to hear his answer.
Yeah. Really, my number one thing I think that is the most important to me when deciding if I want to hold a stock overnight, long or short, is the history of the pattern, and also ideally the stock's already done something very similar in the previous trading history. But it's, I mean, ICU, when I see a stock have a top wick after 3 green days with huge volume, it signifies to me, like we saw that on VFS, we saw it on TUP. We saw it on a lot of multi-day runners, that they're very choppy at the top, and then the next day they actually end up gapping down and washing out. And I know the volume would be a lot lower, so it's like I want to position myself for a red day and a gap down. And then, you know, like going long, I want to buy something that's trading big volume, ideally closing anywhere between up 35% and up, I don't know, 75, somewhere in that range. Closing around VWAP, closing over or near a breakout, closing on good news, closing with high volume, stuff like that. And I like personally gapping stuff overnight, because I find a lot of the times the biggest winners sometimes are on gap up situations or gap down situations. And sometimes you're going to actually end up missing the trade because it's going to gap too much in one direction. And for me, I'd rather position myself. I never like taking massive size overnight. And if I do take massive size overnight, it usually is going to be super stressful and a loss. So I moderate my size to a position where I know how much dollar size I have in it. And if it really gets sticky, I'll be able to exit with sure a big loss, but it's not going to, wipe out, a quarter worth of work.
Nice.
Right on.
You missed one, Kyle, and I want you to answer
We'll
it.
do a couple more. Yeah.
Trading has been unreal for me because I've been trading small, but I've been winning consistently for months now. So I am scared to scale up because I think as soon as I do, I will start to lose. I feel like you're kind of like the way you scaled up was a lot more mature than most of us. So
Trading has been unreal for me because I have been.
I'm guessing in a
trading
good way.
small. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to confirm the unreal word. I wasn't sure. But I've winning consistently for months. Yeah. So I think people go sizing up a little bit wrong. Or what they do usually go wrong with is that they want to make this insane jump. So Fran, let's say you're risking $50 a trade, and you've been making your average win has been $100 for months now, right? So you're having small 500, 1,000, maybe $1,500 months for say last 6 months. That's awesome. Okay, that's great. I think most people immediately go to, okay, I'm risking $50. Let's go to 100. Let's go to 150. Let's go to 200. Like let's make it quick.
500.
Yeah, let's just double, let's triple, let's 10x my average loss, because if I can do it now, why can't I do it bigger? And I think people learn very quickly that the emotional side of your brain is terrible at adapting to that. I almost want you to look back and try to remind yourself how long or how difficult it was for you to actually even get used to what you're used to risking now. Because for me, it's like my first trade, my hand was shaking, and I'm risking $20, right? Now I can risk almost 100 times that and not even blink an eye at some days. So when you want to size up, one, you have the consistency part down, which is great. Like that's step number one. Size up $10. Size up 10%. If you're risking $50, go to 55. Go to 60. Because again, if it's all about if trading for you has become just a math equation and a risk reward equation, right? If you're risking $50 to say make 100 in this very simple 2-to-1 scenario or strategy, if you go to 55, you should be making 110. If you go to 60, you should be making 120. And all of a sudden you do that 10, 20 trades a month, and all of a sudden you should be having an extra $400 or $500 in your pocket. Right? That math is off, but you know what I mean. And then you go from 60 to 70, and then 70 to 80, and then 80 to 100, and then 100 to 120. And before you know it, your 1K per month turns into 2. And then a year later, you keep doing that. You're risking 5. Like the $50 to 500 should be over like a year or two, not in a day. Because I promise you, your emotional acceptance of that will lead you to, because this is what happens. I've seen this happen dozens of times. People will increase their size by 10x or 2x or 3x, too much than they can emotionally handle. They'll lose. They now associate with sizing up as a scary thing that causes losses, and they come right back into their shell because they did it wrong, right? Go to a level where you can just take a little baby step higher and ease yourself into it. Right? Don't be, the famous saying or the famous thing of like a frog will, if you immediately boil hot water and you throw a frog into it, it's going to jump out. But if you put frog into like room temperature water and then slowly heat it up, it's going to die. It's going to burn to death. So just slowly teach your emotional brain to accept bigger and bigger risks, given that you can keep that consistency up, right? So.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, you just want to be able to do what you're doing and just continue to make more money without feeling anything different. And what Kyle's saying is like the faster you do that, every trade that you normally would take is just going to feel different just because your unrealized number is different as the stock is fluctuating. And if you don't believe him, go try it out. Do it in a paper count, do it, wherever. But, when the stock's doing nothing and it's range bound and you're seeing the numbers fluctuate and they're 5, 10, 20x what they used to be, you're going to make a lot more emotional decisions. You're going to give stocks a lot less time to do what you want it to do because you just want to be done with it. Um, yeah, I think most of us here, I don't know about Huddy, did a pretty good job of sizing up slowly throughout time. I probably took too long to start sizing up, but it was kind of like what this person's talking about. And I was just so comfortable with what I was doing that it was like, why size up when I can make decent money and never even think twice about cutting a loss or taking the trade or any, financial part of it. It was just, I really enjoyed $200 risk. But every now and then you gotta challenge yourself and work on it. Then all of a sudden I'm borrowing 25,000 shares of top. Just so I can use like 1,000 all day long.
It's like, well, that escalated quickly. Yeah.
It escalated very quickly.
Alrighty, let's do one more before we close it out here. Do you want to pick a dime, or should we just do the very next one here?
I want to pick one for Huddy.
All right.
I thought I already had one.
Huddy. This one actually says Huddy. Have you guys also been noticing more rigged price action this year, like high day stop hunts, huge wicks to the downside that soak after seemingly already feeling like the stock has bottomed, etc.? And if so, what are some adjustments you've had to make? Does the market feel more rigged this year?
I don't know if it feels more rigged necessarily, but you have to be aware of where the traps are. I think in 2020 and 2021, I used to buy high a day breaks like water. Like it was, if there was a high day break near breakout level and it was sideways and consolidating healthy, I'd buy it. And it produced amazing results. And then quickly in 2021 and 2022, those same entries like ended up in low of day breaks or offerings, even worse. Both were bad. So I had to stop doing that and just understand that there was a new algo in town, and high day breaks were not where I wanted to position myself if I wanted to have good risk reward or good odds of winning. And so I don't know if it's like any more rigged. I think it's like constantly always rigged. It's just being on top of where the riggings are and just being aware of what's working and what's not in this current market environment. And it's just a matter of fact where it's like, again, like, do we really have the demand to push stocks higher? Do we really have the liquidity? Do we really have the players? And some algo eventually realized that no, we don't. And so if I sit up at the top where everyone's buying with a huge sell order, then I'm going to soak everyone, and then everyone's going to sell, and I'm going to cover up at the lows, and it's going to be easy money. And so, there's going to be times where that's there, and there's going to be times where that's not there, because that's dangerous for them to be doing that. So it's not any more rigged. You just have to understand that the market is always rigged. And you just have to know where the riggings are.
I think it's all about perspective. In 2020 and 2021, I don't think anything that's happening now wasn't happening then, but there were so many plays. It's like kind of how mistakes get hidden. I always say that, like, in 2020 and 2021, you could be down 5 or 10K in the morning and know that by 4 o'clock there will be an opportunity to make that money back. That has not been the case for 2022 and 2023. So you tend to over exaggerate every week, every month, like every stock that moves. All breakouts fail. There's no such thing as first red days anymore. Like, gappers don't run. Like, you just make all these assumptions because there isn't the quantity of plays that there was before. So I don't think it's any more rigged. It's just you might see more of that type of price action because there's not 5 other stocks that day moving that went higher, or cleared high a day and continued higher, or broke low a day and continued lower, if that makes sense. So I think a lot of it is just perception based off of how many stocks we're actually seeing move.
I got nothing, Ed. I like those answers.
Ned or Ed?
What?
Ned.
They said Jab. I got nothing, Ned.
Oh, no, I like those answers. Nothing to add.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you what. The ratio is pretty dang good, guys, on the like to viewer subscriber ratio.
77 to 57. That is really good.
It could be a bit higher. I mean, there's 20 people here that just don't love us or something, or don't want us to keep doing this. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't seem right.
It's just not okay, guys. Well, all right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this one. If we didn't get to your question, or we just hadn't have enough time, feel free to join the free section of the room. You can ask us there, or join 3Leaf and 4Leaf with a 7-day, $7 trial. We happily can answer those questions then. Or join Clover Academy. It's free. Use the code FREE, free. believe that's in the description below for that. And yeah, hope to see you guys next time. You guys, 4-Leaf Clovers, got a webinar tomorrow with, I believe, Dom and Huddy. So that'll be a good one. And
We'll also be live at 8:45 a.m. for Good Morning NASDAQ.
Good
Hopefully
morning, NASDAQ.
every
with
morning,
some
tomorrow morning.
gappers. And Kyle, if you want to like do the sign off and then not close it out so they all can see how fast Jack leaves the Zoom the second we say we're over.
All right, everybody. See you guys next time.
Wait, Jack, don't leave yet.
See you later.
No.
There he goes. There, and that's everything. See you there you go, everybody. He's out. He's gone. All right. Peace, everybody. See you guys next time.